Mrs. Nasreen Mahmood Kasuri, Chairperson of Beaconhouse, Mr. Khurshid Kasuri, and members of the Board of Directors, colleagues, teachers, students, distinguished guests. So great to see the teachers up there. Thank you guys for being here. Good morning and Assalamu alaikum. It's an honor and a privilege for me to speak to you on the occasion of the Golden Jubilee of Beaconhouse, which is the 50th anniversary of Beaconhouse. And it's all the more special because when we started this rethinking education journey, it was from the same hall, which was on the 25th anniversary of Beaconhouse on the Silver Jubilee. So it's great to be back in this great hall to celebrate. I don't know how many of you were there on the 25th anniversary. Can I have a show of hands? Yes, quite a few actually. Wow. Okay. So as you can see, we have been rethinking education for a very long time. And I hope that we continue to do so because, as Sidra very aptly mentioned, the future is quite unknown. And I think it's our job as educators to try to figure out how best to prepare kids for a world which, frankly, may not exist, as in the world that we knew is not really going to exist, and we should not be preparing them for that. Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take this opportunity to say a couple of things about Beaconhouse, which I feel are important. So prior to the inception of Beaconhouse, schools across Pakistan had been nationalized, and quality education had basically collapsed. Some of you will know that at that point, quality education was accessible only to those people who could perhaps afford the handful of elite missionary schools which had been set up by the British, and that was not very many people. But that all changed in 1975 with Lesonge, and then in 1978 with the introduction of the Beaconhouse school system. It suddenly made quality education accessible to middle-income families. It was no longer that you had to be a somebody to get into a good school. And for that reason, Beaconhouse flourished. And in the early days, I think that each time a Beaconhouse branch or campus was even announced in a particular city, it would fill up before the school was even physically ready. But I think what's even more important is that Beaconhouse has paved the way for so many others, so many other entrepreneurs, so many other teachers, educators. And one, we say this a lot, but there are a lot of tangible examples of this. But one thing I want to share, which I feel is important, is that prior to 1996, nobody took private schools very seriously. When I say nobody, I mean the financial sector. Banks would not give money to private schools or to female entrepreneurs who wanted to open schools. But in 1996, something truly unique happened, which is that Beaconhouse became the first school system or the first school in the world, not just in Pakistan, to receive financing from the IFC, the International Finance Corporation, which is the private sector wing of the World Bank. And this led to the construction of a number of Beaconhouse campuses across the country. But what's more important is that all of a sudden, private banks, local banks in Pakistan, started to look very seriously at education. And they realized that, okay, well, if the IFC has come in, then there's got to be something in the sector that's worth looking at. So there are many, many firsts, that Beaconhouse can be credited for. My mother also realized very early on that there were no trained teachers in Pakistan. And we're talking way back in the 70s and 80s. And so then she and her team managed to get hold of universities in Scotland and in England to come to Pakistan and to train teachers. So in the early days, trainers from the UK would come and train our teachers, but it was soon we realized that's not a sustainable model. So we started to train master trainers in Pakistan so that they could train. And in fact, a couple of them, I think, are here in the audience with us today. I think Mrs. Ahmed was one of our master trainers from back in the day. So very soon, Beaconhouse teachers became a very coveted resource. And I have to, which also meant, unfortunately or inevitably, that they were poached by a number of other schools because no other school had the kind of professional development program that Beaconhouse had. And I think that to this day, I can safely say that that is the case. So while we find it rather annoying at times that we end up losing not only teachers, but also school leaders to other school systems, it's, I guess, also sort of a kind of flattery. And it's a testament to the strength of professional development at Beaconhouse. And I know that many of you in the audience know what I'm talking about because you've been, you're part of multiple training programs in your schools. There's one other thing which I just added to my notes very last minute. I thought that it would be apt to mention this over here. And, we talk about excellence and we talk about the success of the Beaconhouse school system. But, the proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the eating. So yesterday, so this is like sort of breaking news, some of our heads might already know, Cambridge announced their Outstanding Cambridge Learner Awards. And 57 Beaconhouse students have been awarded 70 awards. Okay? Now this is, and they're all your students. And out of the 70 awards, what's even more remarkable is that 26 of them are top in the world, which means that in those respective O and A level subjects, those kids have topped not only in Pakistan, but we have topped globally. And I think that's truly, truly incredible. 10 of them are top in Pakistan, which means that in that particular O or A level subject, they topped. And a large number of these are in very difficult subjects like mathematics. So we are very proud of that. One is also in biblical studies, is that right? We have a top in the world in biblical studies. I found that quite interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, today there are nearly 400,000 students in the Beaconhouse school system and in our network associates. But I should also add that about 225,000 of these kids are in the educators, which is a network that we are extremely proud of. And the reason we are very proud of the educators is that before the launch of the educators, which was in the early 2000s, this, what you might want to call the affordable school sector was highly unregulated. There were all sorts of schools charging all sorts of fees with, basically all sorts of curricula. Educators raised the bar. It raised the bar particularly for schools which were catering to the matric stream, which is the Pakistan national stream. And it transformed this space into a competitive and quality-driven ecosystem. So I think that a huge credit goes to the educators. And as many of you in the audience know, the educators caters to the lower and lower middle income groups, which is a very, very important part of the Pakistan economy. So, ladies and gentlemen, my key message today, if you forget everything else, all the numbers and the awards and everything which I mentioned, the key message today is that the impact of Beaconhouse in this country is not about Beaconhouse. It's about what Beaconhouse has achieved for education in Pakistan. It's about how it has paved the way for many other individuals, educators, women entrepreneurs, teachers, school leaders, what it has done for women's empowerment, and basically what it's done for the economy, because these are students who have gone on to gain admission in international universities, international job placements. So I think that this is really the real contribution of Beaconhouse in terms of what it has achieved at a national level. I also want to take this opportunity to thank all of our teachers, school leaders, and support staff, because without you, as I often say, we would just be a bunch of empty classrooms. I think some of you would be probably tired of hearing me say that over and over again, because otherwise it's just school buildings, right? You're the guys who bring it to life. Thank you also to the students, because without you, there is no Beaconhouse. And thank you to the parents of Beaconhouse, because there can be no greater faith that anyone can repose in us than the confidence that we will do a good job with their children and that we will nurture their children. So I think that's the greatest compliment that anybody can pay us. So thank you, everyone. Finally, on this opportunity, I also want to thank and congratulate our alumni, especially because we are starting off with the alumni session. I know there's been a lot of movement in the program for unavoidable reasons, so I really appreciate your patience, but you are truly our ambassadors. And it's so great to see so many of you here today. And I would really like to work with Mr. Ali Khan, our Chief Operating Officer, to further try to strengthen the Beaconhouse Old Student Society BOSS, which is our alumni association. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm about a minute over my allotted time, on behalf of the chairperson and the management, I'm happy to announce that Friday, the 7th of November, will be a holiday at all of our schools. You guys just love holidays, yeah? Even on the 40th anniversary, when we spoke about the off Saturdays, that was the only thing that caught people's attention. Everything else in the speech was ignored. Okay? Forget the 26th top in the world, yeah. But yeah, Friday is a holiday to honor the Golden Jubilee of Beaconhouse at all of our schools. And thank you now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm done. I hope that I will get to see some of you at the Diamond Jubilee in 2050. And who knows, even at the, what is it called? The Centennial I can't even figure out when that's going to be, in 2075. Who knows, with all these advances in biotechnology, some of us might still be around. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have you all here. And thank you, Northern Region, for hosting us.